Welcome to WPRI.com. This is a Newsmakers web extra. I'm joined to my right by WPRI.com reporter Ted Nesi and Eyewitness News analyst Arlene Violet. Our guest this week is Rhode Island Governor Lincoln Chafee. He was our guest on Newsmakers. If you missed any of that episode, it is online at WPRI.com. Governor, our big topic for the program was your budget. You have proposed $6 million in new revenue for the state's colleges and universities, but they'd be barred from raising tuition next year if you were to give that money. They requested a $12 million increase, so your plan would most likely mean cuts at URI. How is this being received with higher education leaders?
I always think you can do better, more efficient delivery of services, so I've asked them to meet me halfway. I think that's fair. I'll raise the $6 million if you can find $6 million in efficiencies.
And they
I think
say
that's
what?
fair. Let's look at it. Let's see what we can do.
So you think there's pork at the state colleges?
Yeah, through attrition, as people retire, you ask those that are still to do more. You don't fill those positions automatically. That's what I always believe in as mayor, now as governor. You just run your departments more and more efficiently. People are usually how you save money. Fewer people doing better, more motivated workforce, and yes, I think we can do it. That's my request.
Nationally, Rhode Island is lousy at funding higher education. Is $6 million a slap in the face? Is it far enough when you consider just how little we fund higher ed here?
Yes, don't forget, in the previous administration, I believe the fact is they cut them $38 million in 3 years. Mm-hmm. Huge, huge cuts. And all that did is raise tuition. And I believe that students will not finish high school if they don't think I can afford to go to RIC or CCRI or URI. Why finish? I'll go down to the auto body shop and get a job. I won't even finish high school. So there's a multiplier effect of having low tuitions. I'm going to finish high school, I'm going to go to RIC. And that's what we want. That's what made America great. All across the country, people going to the local public institutions of higher education, Missouri and Kansas and Maine and Oregon. And that's what I want to make Rhode Island great. Affordable tuitions. And I'm not going to give up on my first budget. I put in money. Now I'm back at it.
Can you see an
keep those
increasing
tuitions
amount
down? That's the key.
Every budget that you propose, are you thinking,
Yes.
I want to give more,
Yes.
I want to give more each time?
I have a very limited set of priorities: education, infrastructure, workforce development, cities and towns.
Little priorities.
Yes, yeah. But I haven't stopped. They haven't changed.
What was your rationale?
Higher education, low tuitions is high priority for me.
Excuse me, Governor. What was your rationale of merging the two boards? A lot of controversy, but when push came to shove, you thought they should be merged, higher, lower ed, because?
Well, that came out of the legislature, and
But you're a proponent. Why is that better?
No. That came out of the
You weren't?
legislature. We were doing our jobs and managing the Board of Governors, the Board of Regents, the two boards, and that was their initiative. It kind of, I'll be honest, there wasn't a lot of consultation with me on that.
So you were as surprised as anyone?
Yeah.
So
I
the
heard
jury's
talk
out
of
with
it,
you.
but it happened quickly. And once something's passed, I do make the most of it. And now moving forward, most of my appointments to the new board came off of the two boards. They have the experience, and we'll see how it works, and we'll work with the legislatures. As we said earlier, it's what we have to do, work together.
Governor,
you're
sounding more and more like you're going to be up for re-election next year. You're going to run a campaign. You just yesterday had a press conference talking about unemployment coming down to 10.2%. Hopefully we can get out of double digits at some point here in Rhode Island. Do you think you'll be running as an independent, or do you think you might be running as a Democrat?
I haven't really crossed that threshold of what political affiliation. I'm really just concentrated on what we're talking about, getting the economy going, getting these unemployment numbers down. We're going in a good direction. Here's a good fact. For the first time, the 5 economic indicators, not only for the month, but for the year, since 1998, since November of 1998, they've been positive. First time since, that's Governor Almond's first term. And so things are going in the right direction, and I want to be part of that and keep working at it. I'm very proud of our administration, what we've accomplished in tough economic climates, and also a lot of, as I said, cloud of negativity. Been a lot of negativity out there. And
there has
just
been, and it's
methodically moving forward, and now the metrics are proving that we're doing the right thing
and it's clearly
building the economy the right way.
taking a toll on your approval rating. You were at 29% in our poll with Joe Fleming a few months ago. Do you think you can convince enough Rhode Islanders to get enough votes next year that you could get another term?
It's all about pocketbook issues. If you can keep taxes down and people working, good things will happen. And I know that from my first day in public office.
As you said, the unemployment rate is trending downward, but last check we're still number 2 in the country. It's nothing to brag about. What's your prediction? What is the unemployment rate going to be in 2 years?
I want it at the national average. That's my goal. And full statistical employment is 5.2%. Unemployment, that factors in transition. So if you
6.7%, though, is the national average.
Yes.
You
So
don't anticipate we're going from 10.2
get to the national average, and then let's get
in 2 years?
to statistical full employment. That's 5.2%.
Would you consider it a failure if you don't reach 6.7%?
In 2 years?
That is a lofty goal.
As long as we're trending in the right direction. I set the bar high. I always have, and I want to be the best. I'm not going to settle for second or third. I want to be the best. And
Can I ask, Governor?
That's my goal.
You must sit here, and it must be a little frustrating in your office in the State House. You look to Massachusetts. Governor Patrick wants to cut the sales tax, and he has I think 6-something% unemployment rate. Over in Connecticut, it's 8-something. You're in Rhode Island, 10.2, and that's actually a cause for celebration here. After 2 years of watching the state and state government, what do you think has led Rhode Island to get into this hole compared with its neighbors?
Well, first of all, the previous governor didn't address the revenue side when the economy crashed. And Governor Patrick, if we're going to compare us to Massachusetts, he did it both with cuts, which you had to have, and also with raising some revenue. He raised the sales tax 5 to 6.25%, I believe, from 5% to 6.25%. That's a big increase. And he took some heat for it. But the economy rebounded in Massachusetts much faster than Rhode Island. We did it all on cuts, mostly to cities and towns and to higher education. And so you had Central Falls going to bankruptcy, East Providence, Woonsocket having state intervention. And so it's taken us longer. I think we made some bad decisions by not addressing both sides, the revenue and the cuts.
Do you think it's primarily a question of the state budget as opposed to deep-seated issues with our education system or things like that?
Yes, I'm still proud of my first budget. When I first came into office, I really tackled lowering the sales tax, lowering the corporate tax. It was a bold budget, investing in education, and the critics never really came in and sat at the table with me and had a discussion. They just kind of knee-jerk came out in opposition. I think that was unfortunate.
Are there any cities and towns that you're worried about will have fiscal problems in the not-too-distant future?
Just to go back to Ted's line of questioning too, I just bite the bullet, take the bull by the horns. That was that first budget. It was painful, but I think taking your cod liver oil and getting better was the way to do it back then.
Anybody else
take cod liver oil?
I don't
Is
think
anyone
so.
else going to take cod liver oil? Can you see that in the future for any other cities and towns right now in Rhode Island?
Not with the path we're on, Arlene.
Okay.
With putting the money, West Warwick is certainly a big issue for us right now. No state intervention, but we're really working closely with them to the best of our ability. Woonsocket's still having trouble meeting payroll, but it's a top priority to be involved in the decision making, help them with their pension funds, help them with their budgets. Former mayor and councilman, it's dear to my heart.
One last question for you. There's a push from labor and progressives to increase the income tax for wealthier Rhode Islanders, those making $250,000 or more. We should point out your budget does not explore that. But what if the General Assembly does? Where are you on that?
I'm very clear on the record as a United States Senator as being willing to tax the wealthy. I think every vote I've taken was in opposition to the Bush tax cuts that favored the wealthy. I don't think I ever once voted for any of the Bush tax cuts. So I'm clearly on the record as being willing to tax the wealthy. But
On the federal level?
on the federal side. But on the state side, if you lose revenue as a result of taxing the wealthy, they just leave Rhode Island and you have less money. It just doesn't make mathematical sense. It's just a mathematical cold look at numbers. I'd be willing to tax the wealthy, but if they're all going to leave and you have less revenue, it doesn't make any sense, and that's what I would argue.
All right. Our guest this week was Rhode Island Governor Lincoln Chafee. We have a complete breakdown of his budget proposal on our website with Ted Nesi and Dan McGowan. That's WPRI.com. And if you're having trouble sleeping, you can also read my analysis of the new state's transparency website. And if you missed the full program with Governor Lincoln Chafee, it's under the on-air section on WPRI.com. For Ted Nesi and Arlene Violet, I'm Tim White. We'll see you next week on Newsmakers. Good job, Governor. Thank you very much.
Thanks.